Namaskar, Vanakkam to all the PGurus audience. I'm always delighted to talk to the PGurus audience because they are one of the very knowledgeable groups and also give some very appropriate comments. Anyhow, today we will have a short talk on this Nupur Sharma issue. I think so many people have chewed so much amount of the sugarcane. What is available is nothing much. But let's look at some of the other dimensions of the issue. First and foremost is many people are telling that this beheading threat and other thing is not called for, and why should 56 countries make comments and all these things. First and foremost, let us be very clear. We don't have a concept of blasphemy in our Indian culture or tradition or anything. Actually, I recall, Kumara Sambhav written by Kalidas. There is a section on this Padadi Kesan, that is from the feet to the head, a description of Uma Parvati. And, obviously there were 10, 12 slokas pertaining to the what is called by the purist inappropriate parts of the body. And one Dinnaha, those days, he told Kalidasa should be banned. He was a ardent Buddhist and a purist, and nobody listened to him. Another thing. Interestingly, when I was doing in the 60s my undergraduation in Sanskrit, and some 10 slokas were deleted by the then Madras University in their enthusiasm or whatever you call it. And so obviously many of us were curious. We went to the original and then had a look at it, what exactly were deleted. This is how we function. Anyhow, we don't have a concept of blasphemy, and there is a what you call Nindastuti is there as part of our culture and tradition. We ridicule our gods and all these things. Nothing happens. But what is happening of late is the people belonging to other desert faith, I call them, the religion of peace and religion of love, and the eldest brother. Eldest brother is not very active in Indian context, at least. The other two are very, very active in India, and some of them go overboard in criticizing Hindu customs and traditions and other things. For instance, there is one Leonil. Many of you would not have even heard his name. He is the chairman of the textbook committee in Tamil Nadu. He is a Christian, but he makes derogatory remarks about Hindu temples, practices, and why should Sanskrit be used there and other things. And so this is upsets many people, but many of them ignore it. Some of them would like to give a response. And what is happening is we don't recognize blasphemy, and we don't also know the seriousness of blasphemy in the other systems and how they want to desperately convert people. I recall fondly, a couple of years before, I was in a church in England on a Sunday. It can accommodate easily 1,000 people. It's a huge one. In the front row, there were some 7 people or something. That's all the attendance these days on a Sunday morning. And I was the 8th person to sit there. At the end of it, that particular day, I think a bishop was conducting the sermon. Or anyhow, he came to me and asked, "Are you from India?" and other thing. I told yes. He told, "Oh, Indians are all in darkness." And I looked at him and told, "Yeah, very severe power crisis, and we don't. Hopefully, we overcome it. We have to import a lot of coal, and nuclear power also has to be." Like this, our conversation went. He was genuinely wanting to bring me out of the marshy, what you call a marshy pit in which I have fallen. In other words, it is their dharma to convert. And it is their dharma also to protect their what is called the gods and book and other thing. It's a one god, one what one can call the ambassador of the god, and one book. You have to be very, very. By and large, the second brother, namely the religion of love, is disappearing in Europe at least. Large number of people tick the box called a none, None. They don't believe in anything, and agnostic or whatever you call it in Europe. Particularly in the northern Europe, it is very acute. Many of the churches are deserted. People used to visit church daily, then it became weekly. Now only for major events like Christmas or something. And in US also, except that what is popularly called Bible Belt, they are not very popular or anything. They are agnostic. And in Europe, actually, the role of the Islam is much, much bigger these days. Whether it is Sweden, whether it is France, whether it is Belgium, and these people, they pray on the roads. They have their own concepts of no-go areas and other things. And basically, Europe doesn't know how to deal with them. Actually, they have. If you ask me bluntly, it has become Eurobia. Let's come to our situation. One is this Nupur Sharma thing. There are many reports suggesting it could also be some, what one can call inner party struggle. Actually, in India, like any other country, but in India, it is more acute. There are more opponents within a party than outside. You have to deal with, actually. This is something very, very interesting. So that is one thing which could be there. Second is, again and again, some of these people, experts and other thing are asking, do you really mean you will behead a person for, saying such things? They don't realize, yes, they will. Charlie Hebdo is an example which is available. And in India itself, Kamlesh Tiwari is available. So it's not something which is uncommon or anything. Beheading is, it is justified in terms of their faith and in terms of their. So there is no point in again and again asking them, will you do it? They will do it. What are the alternatives? One set of school says that we should also become something like this desert cult. We should also have our concept of blasphemy. Anybody talking ill of the religion should be exposed, another thing. It's a very complicated issue. Should we become Abrahamized? Should we become like our enemies or our, these desert cult? Is one important question. It will alter our entire edifice of our culture and civilization on which it was built. Of course, a lot of abuses are heaped on our faith and our beliefs and other thing. But there are three issues in this. One is the tyranny of distance. One is the tyranny of language. Third is the tyranny of seculars who are in control of the media. Tyranny of distance, for instance, in even this Nupur Sharma issue, I am sure 90% of people in the southern part of the country may not even know about it. And a significant number may not, have understood what has happened, why it has happened. So this is the tyranny of distance. Same thing, a lot of abuses which is heaped on Hindu gods or idols, and some places the idols are broken in Tamil Nadu. That news might not be known anywhere else up north. One. Second is language. A lot of these abuses are made in Tamil and it is not adequately translated into other languages and other things. So, for instance, recently, a couple of people asked me, did really E.V. Ramasamy Nayakar, who is also called Periyar, did he really ask for genocide of Tamil Brahmins? Yes, of course he did ask for. It is there in the. Many of them were shocked actually. They didn't know anything about it. So this is the tyranny of language. Then there is a tyranny of secular media. Large number of our media, let's be very blunt, is controlled by what are called liberals or seculars or Marxist oriented. I call it as JNU type of media. And they don't want to cover all these things. And they don't even, if suppose some person belonging to X community, hit another, they would not even mention. They would only say X community and Y community fought with each other. And of course, they would also say from X community, some Islamic names they will say were all arrested. It's all rubbish. This whole media thing is either they are also afraid, their owners are afraid that they would have a very severe punishment, or they are genuinely wanting to have what they call quote unquote peace. Another interesting or important point to note is attitude of an average Hindu also. Most of the time, if somebody makes this type of thing, he will say they will meet their fate or something like that. Karma will take care of him, and he's not overtly perturbed or anything. He will say maybe the other fellow will also observe. It is expected the gods will protect the believers in our system. In the other systems, both in Islam and Christianity and Jews, it is the humans who have to protect their gods and these avatars, or the ambassadors or the prophets. There is a lot of difference. Somebody asked about me about our gods having too many weapons. I told they have to protect us from people like you. So that is why they have a lot of weapons. So what it means is, in other words, in the contemporary situation, it is up for the government to protect an average Hindu believer faith and his temples and his idols and his beliefs. And that is the role of the government, actually, which many of the governments in India have abdicated. They have they have thrown the Hindus to the wolves. This is one point. Another is, we have to also remember, among all these Arab countries and other things, their primary thing is oil. So as long as we diversify significantly and move toward China and Russia, and have something like at least 70% of our requirement met by them, and the other good portion is by non-conventional, we don't have to have any major. And already oil is a declining industry. There is nothing to go gaga about it. And about employment, even independently, when oil is a declining industry, there is going to be a huge problem for employment of Indians in those countries. Now, for an average Hindu, this is a very, very tricky situation. Is what you call neither he can swim nor he can sink, another type of. What do we do? Globally, one simple thing, there are only two countries in the world which have dealt with this Islam in their own way, Russia and China. And did you notice no country criticizes China of its handling of this Islamic issue? Actually, as one of my colleague told, American colleague told, whenever you mention the name China, the people in European leaders and American leaders wet their pants. China is a giant. Let's be very clear about it. They are reaching 20 trillion US dollar, and in nominal term, they will cross US very soon. They will be the superpower and single superpower. They are not. They don't mince words or anything, and they never advise or criticize India for handling of these issues. They never involve themselves in being sanctimonious or prepare reports and other things. While the European and American countries even today do it. US, of course, Joe Biden is very well known to be anti-India from the time of cryogenic engine, and a huge number of Democrats are extremely anti-India. And surprisingly, India is the only country where the expatriate students living in either in UK or in US, they participate in agitations against India. Whatever be the cause and other thing, no other country students come out and then hold flags criticizing their own country. So there are only two countries, Russia and China, which handle this issue. Europe, according to me, Europe is gone. Andalusian Empire will be re-established, and then I won't be surprised if they have another caliphate and headquartered at Paris or Brazil or Belgium or anything. Europe has lost its will to protest and will to stand up. Europe wants to be in pubs, and they will be very happy if some music is allowed, if some swimming is allowed, if some sea resort they can go, and then so that's the position of the Europe. US, beyond a point, they would just what one can call say we surrender. The way they left Afghanistan, everybody knows about it. They are the super bluff masters. They told Iraq has got so many chemical weapons, and Economist and New York Times and so many articles they wrote. Finally, they couldn't even locate one bottle of hydrochloric acid in Iraq. It's in a mess. That's all. Anyhow, the current Biden US is a goner. Is actually, and he shakes hand with the wind. You can imagine US president shaking hand with the wind. Anyhow, so that is so internationally, if we want to be in good company, we should be in the company of USSR and China. There were reports actually. I do not know how much they are true, but there were reports that Russia were killing some of the Chechen, Islamic-based rebels, and then after that they used to wrap them in pigskin. It is leather which is coated with pig matter, and then burn them. This is to prevent them from becoming martyrs and various type of monuments being created for them and other thing, and also to destroy their faith that they will get the benefit of 72 urs in other heaven in case they die and then get buried. So this is what is to be told about Russia. I do not know. If it is true, I think we should seriously think in terms of it, in terms of the Kashmir terrorist and other things. There's no point in creating huge number of monuments in Kashmir in the name of these terrorists. So we should seriously think it RIC, Russia, India, China alliance. Whatsoever you have the squad card and other thing, nothing will help us. Ultimately, the what you may call the second brother would only go with the third brother. Maximum. They will not, because they will have a common root in terms of Abraham being their eldest. So, we are not going to gain much in terms of formulating our policies looking at West. Neither US nor Europe will come for our help. If we agree and accept that jihadism is one of the major threat facing India, we should form Russia, India, China, what I call RIC axis, and be closer. Let's be very clear, we are 3 trillion, China is 20 trillion, and all this talk of containing China are all crap. These are all just propagated by the think tanks in US and then peddled to India, and so we carry all those same useless things, and recognition by Harvard and recognition by this and all this is all nonsense actually. Containing China is not our job. And the US or Europe doesn't want to contain China. They want to contain China using India. They are using India as a cannon fodder. We should not fall into that trap at all. And let's be very clear, G7 is a declining force. It's between ICU and mortuary, except US. US will be able to, revive or because of its innate strength in terms of what one can call immigrants and their strength and other. Anyhow, so we have to understand Nupur Sharma's issue in perspective. 2-3 things should be done after a couple of months or maybe a year, and the heat dies down. She should be recognized by the political party, and maybe I would strongly urge she should be made to stand from Delhi or some such place. She hasn't done anything wrong from the point of view of fact, but she has done something wrong from the point of view of not understanding the concept of blasphemy in other faith. This is something. Second is, just because these two faiths are of having the concept of blasphemy, we shouldn't get into that territory at all. We should be what we are, our culture and our civilization. Third is, we should align with Russia and China and rooted to our civilization. And actually, China is more together with our civilization. Even though China doesn't recognize Hinduism as one of the 5 faiths, so they have recognized Protestant, Catholic, and Islam and all these things, but not Hinduism. First, we should represent to China to recognize Hinduism, and they are very, very civilizationally together with us. And so that is of course, people will jump immediately. What about the territory? That can be discussed. We have a huge portion of our territory in Jammu and Kashmir occupied by Pakistan, and we are still doing business with them. We are having our embassy there. We have not even declared Pakistan as a terrorist state. So, I don't see any reason why we can't have discussion with China and then try to sort out this border thing. That's the only thing between us. There is no other issue. And incidentally, even today they are one of our biggest trading partners. And for the last 1500 years, there has never been any aggression from their side. Their leader actually once told, who she was ambassador to US, that India conquered China without firing a single bullet, using our literature, using our medicine, music, art, everything we did conquer them. And so we should clearly understand in this 21st century who are our friends and who are our enemies. This is, we are lacking it very much actually. And we are led by people, who are, in terms of bureaucracy, in terms of other elements in the decision making channel, who are eagerly waiting for their green card to settle abroad, and they are the ones who are trying to formulate our policies. We are going nowhere. Even a simple thing like buying more oil from USSR and more gas is obtained by Europe. They cannot stand actually. We taking our independent stand. And sooner we align with Russia and China, better it will be for us to deal with this issue also, this issue of Huma. And they know how to deal with it. They would be with us. Last but not least, let us be very clear. Israel is one of the good friends of India. We have not leveraged on it properly. Among all these, things like your Qatar and others. And there is also one-upmanship among many of these Muslim countries to show that they are more true, they are more purer than the others and other things. So let's not get carried away too much by that and worried by that and other thing. Thank you very much.